Hello and welcome back. I'm Poppy Webber and I'm here today with the GFS XCH saddle. These are adjustable saddles by GFS. They're on a plastic tree. They're adjustable with the gullet bar at the front. Now the reason I have this here with me today is because I'm going to take it to pieces for two reasons. Number one, I was at a saddle fitting last week and the first thing I do before I fit a saddle is I check the tree because there's no point in fitting a saddle if it's got a broken tree. So I picked it up and I gave it a flex. And can you see that there? That's an awful lot of flex to have in a tree. So I've brought it back with me to dismantle it and have a look inside. Now it's a plastic tree and they can be quite flexible compared to the wooden trees. So it's not necessarily broken, it might have something loose or it might just be like that. Which brings me to point number two. The reason I'm dismantling the saddle today is because loads of you have been asking about plastic tree saddles. So all the previous saddle dissections that I've done have been on wooden trees and this one is a plastic tree. So sometimes it's quite interesting to see the difference between the wooden trees and the plastic trees, and this one I hope will be a good example internally of the difference between a wooden tree and a plastic tree. So sit back, make yourself a cup of tea and hopefully enjoy. The first thing we need to do is unscrew these little screws that are holding it all together. This can of course be done by hand, but I'm way too lazy. So screws out that side, and now we move on to doing it on the other side. And these two screws are out. So now the screws are out, you can see that the little screw holes sort of pop out and we can pull the little points out of the point pocket. So this little pocket in there is called the point pocket. You see where my finger is? And that's where the little point goes. This is the point of the tree. Here, that's a point pocket. Now we're just going to move this bit of leather out of the way, and in here is the gullet bar. This is where the gullet bar sits. Pop the gullet bar out. So this is a little gullet bar I've just taken out the front, and this gullet bar sits in here and it determines how wide the saddle is. So the more narrow the saddle, the narrower the gullet bar, the wider the saddle, the wider the gullet bar. So they're changeable in here. This here is the head of the saddle. Now I don't know if you remember, but on the wooden trees, this head of the saddle is made of wood and it has metal on it, which gives it the strength and the support. This one doesn't have that on, which means it's flexible, like this. But when you put the gullet bar in here, this is what gives it the support and the strength at the front and stops it from being flexible, really. Because you don't want that movement at the front, you want the front to be nice and strong, and this is what gives it that strength, this. So this just slots in here. You see where it slots in there? So this is the head of the tree. That's the gullet bar that determines the width. Without it, it's really flexible. So this is the bit of the saddle that we want to check, because this is the bit of the saddle that when we flexed it at the beginning, do you remember that it had that little bit extra flex through the tree? So we just want to check that it's okay. So we've taken off the front of the gullet and we're going to take this back here and we're going to look at the tree in here. Now in here, it doesn't actually look too dissimilar to a wooden tree. So some plastic trees are like solid plastic, so they're plastic the whole way through here. But this one actually, in here, can we see this is the tree here going down here. This is a tree here going down here. And then we've got all this webbing and stuff in here that's sort of straining the tree. And on a wooden tree, it would be wood where this is plastic, and this is exactly the same setup really, but the actual bit here and here is plastic. So what I was just checking is that none of these rivets and none of these kind of integrated parts of and none of these important parts of the tree had broken, and actually they haven't. They're all sitting in there nicely, they're all still stuck on. What's giving the saddle so much flex is the fact that it's a plastic tree and the bars and everything have just got some bend to them. You look at it here, it's just got that bend there, but it's not broken. It's just a very, very flexible tree. Very flexible tree because it's plastic, and it's got, and you can see at the front how much flex the plastic has naturally got in it without the structure of this big solid metal bar. So all of this flex has run the whole way through the tree, and so it's not a faulty tree as such, it's just a very flexible tree. So the good news is the tree's not broken, it can get put back together and it can go back to its owner. However, as you all saw, there is a lot of flex in the centre of this tree. So the reason that we have saddles is to distribute our weight from front to back. So, and to, you know, disperse all the pressure points and to make sure that the horse is comfortable. You want to have a little bit of flex in your saddle usually because, you know, a horse's back is fluid and it moves, and you maybe want to have a little bit of flex to stop the horse from being too restricted. Do we want this much flex? The jury's kind of out on that, I think. Some people would love it, some people wouldn't. So some horses might prefer it, others might not. I'd be really, really interested to see like a pressure test. They do pressure mat testing. I'd be really interested to see a pressure mat test on a saddle like this that has this kind of flex versus one that doesn't have so much flex. Are we going to see more pressure in the middle on this one? It's an interesting subject. Well, I think it is anyway. Maybe not everybody else does. So I'm going to put this saddle back together now so it can go back to its owner, and I can give her the good news that it's not broken, and also maybe apologise for being a little bit paranoid, and then it can go on and carry on with it a bit in life. I'll be really interested to hear what you think about these flexible trees, whether you think they're a good idea or a bad idea. Don't forget to subscribe, like, do all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you soon. Take care.